models in pointe shoes. It's a guaranteed high fashion look. But let's be honest, it rarely looks like real ballet. Brands don't seem to care, but the ballet community is talking about it, with countless dancers uploading POV parodies of the bad technique. The true aesthetic of ballet is all about clean lines and perfect balance. As a qualified ballet teacher, I care, and I'm pretty sure you care too. In this video, I will be putting on my teacher's hat to give these popular model poses the corrections they so desperately need. It's going to be a fun one. To start off with, I'm going to show you the 4 pictures that I've selected, and we're going to basically talk about the mistakes that are being made. Second part of the video will be giving corrections to those mistakes and improving the look of the poses. And then the third part will be just a bit of fun before and afters, so that you for yourselves can judge which one looks better. And please, by all means, leave your comments. Let me know which ones you prefer, the before or the after. And also, while we're going through this process, if there's any other corrections that you see that I may have missed, put them in the comments. Let's see, let's learn together. In this picture, she is standing in what appears to be a 3rd or 5th position. I can't exactly say which one because she is in neither. So that is the first mistake. Second mistake is she's obviously not pulling up in her legs. Third mistake, her glutes are loose, you can see, because her pelvis is tilting backward, and also there's a gap between her thighs, and that is something you try to close in ballet. Her rib cage is distended, and if I was to show my students back in the day when I was still teaching what chicken wings look like, then I would literally pull up this picture because this is the epitome of chicken wings. Another mistake is that her wrists are broken. So her elbows are dropped and her wrists are broken. Non-dancers out there, I don't literally mean her wrists are broken. I mean that she has broken the line that is supposed to be endless when it comes to ballet. In the second picture, she is quite clearly turning her feet in, and you can see she doesn't have all her toes on the floor. Even though you are wearing pointe shoes, it doesn't mean that you can lift one toe off the floor. All the toes need to be, the box needs to be flat on the floor, okay? So that's the first mistake, including the turned in legs. You can see she's also knocking her knees together, which is something you don't want to do, even if you're standing with your feet parallel. And then she's also arching her back, and the rib cage is distended. Now, for this picture here, I wouldn't actually correct that top half because, you know, art knows no bounds. That being said, there are rules and regulations for ballet dancers, and even a model, a ballet doing this pose, would probably do the same, arch her back to get that right, that line, you know what I mean? But the legs and the feet definitely need to be fixed. Same with this picture, I wouldn't fix the torso at all, but the feet. She is quite clearly sickling in this picture. The sickle that she is doing here is literally like this. And that is not pretty on any level, okay? You don't want to ever have a sickle. You want to have that clean, straight line. It mustn't be broken. Remember, I said that before. The other thing is that toe that is on the floor, her leg, she's got her ankle bone touching the floor. Now, what should rather happen in this pose is that her baby toe should be on the floor and her ankle lifted off the floor, if that makes sense. We'll get into corrections just now. And then the last picture, same mistakes. You can see she's sickling. This is like all wrapped into one picture now. She's sickling inward. Not all her toes are on the floor. Her knees are knocking. Again, I wouldn't fix the torso. I don't really have an issue with that for an arty photo. All right, so we've gone through the pictures. Let us go on to the corrections now, the fun part. You guys tell me, what position do you think she is standing in? I'm going to go with 3rd position because she is a model. She's not a ballet dancer. And if she were to go into 5th position, it would be much more difficult to do the other corrections that I'm about to give if she was in 5th. We're going to place her in 3rd position. Remember, I was saying that her legs aren't pulled up. But before we fix the legs, I want to fix this gap here. Now, I don't actually have a gap, so I'm going to open my legs a little bit more and really stick out my bottom. Remember, I was saying that there mustn't be a gap in ballet. Ballet dancers mustn't have a gap there. It needs to be closed because that is a sign that everything is pulled together and where it needs to be. So I'm going to go into my proper 3rd position. So for 3rd position, you need to have your heel just in line with the highest part of your arch. That is third position. And then from here, as I was saying earlier, her pelvis was tilting backwards. So what she needs to do is actually bring her pelvis forward. So almost like she's bringing her pubic bone forward. So we're here. Now she's going to bring her pubic bone forward underneath her. And you'll see what happens as I do that with my pelvis. Look what happens to the arch in my back. Can you see how it flattened out a little bit? And that's what we're looking for. Bearing in mind that I haven't made any other corrections as yet. So she's brought her pelvis forward, fine. Now what we need to do is make sure that her glutes are activated and that her tummy is pulled in correctly. So why I say correctly is because lots of people, what they tend to do when they pull in their tummy, they go, and this happens to the ribs. You see what's happening to my ribs? Can you see how they're sticking out? Now you've almost got to imagine that ribs, oh, my tail came out. Now you've almost got to imagine that your ribs are like gates in your body. And you don't want any strangers coming onto your property, so you have to close the gates, if that makes sense. So my gates are open right now. So what I want to do is I want to breathe out and pull in my tummy at the same time. And can you see how the shape of my torso actually changed there? It went from being distended to, and the glutes brought down. So that brings me to my next point, the glutes. A dead giveaway for a ballet teacher as to when a student is not engaging her glutes is if there's no dent in the side of her glutes here. So as she's standing, remember the pelvis tilts forward, you lift up, pull the tummy in, close the gates. Now we're going to engage the glutes. So almost like, have you ever needed the toilet, number 2, and you kind of squeeze your buttocks together? It's that kind of sensation, but also pulling it down towards the floor at the same time. Bear with me. Okay, so pelvis comes forward, tummy in, close your gates, glutes engaged and pulling down towards the floor. Now, one more correction of this whole pull-up thing is I want to fix her legs. So what she needs to do now is lengthen her legs. I don't particularly like to use the word stretch because that often can just be like, I'm stretching it. Whereas it's a stretching and a lengthening. So there's an ever-growing sensation in a ballet dancer's body. So what you want to imagine is that you're pushing your glutes down towards the floor and pushing down the back of the legs. And then in the front of the legs, everything is getting pulled up and forward. The pelvis forward, and all of this is coming up, up, up. That is what I would do to correct that. Now we move on to her chicken wings. Okay, so right now it's looking like this. What we want to do when it comes to the arms is that you never want to have the elbows drooping down to the floor. You always want to create space and have air almost wafting under the arms. Doesn't sound very balletic. But also, if you could imagine a ball or something like this underneath the arm here, you see how my arm has taken the shape of this thing, this yoga thing. It's rounded like this. Now, what I don't want to do is make my fingers touch it, because then look what happens to my wrists now. The wrist is broken. So you've got the elbow, the shoulder down. Now you don't see her shoulders here, but I can almost guarantee that her shoulders are up, because, you know, models like to have this collarbone sticking out. And the best way to accentuate that is by bringing your shoulders forward. So shoulders down, elbow over the hoop, and then your fingers just follow naturally. The wrist and the fingers follow naturally with that curve. So you'll see it's not like a broken line in any way. It's just a natural curve. And then on top of it, you'd imagine holding your skirt. So her hand position is no hand position in ballet. But what you want to imagine is that your thumb is a fairy and it's just hiding behind the flowers. And then equally on the other side. And then we go from having the bad posture to the correct posture. So here we have before, right? There, yeah. Okay, before and after. You can see it's a world of difference. I hope it is. This looks so much better, and this now looks like ballet. This picture can be saved, don't worry. As you can see, she's got her baby toes on the floor. So this is what the current pose looks like. She is on her baby toes. All her weight is on her baby toes. Her ankles are sickling and her knees are knocking together. But don't worry, we can fix this. Remember I said I'm not going to correct the arching too much, actually at all, because I'm quite happy with that part being like that, because it does actually look nice if you just fix the legs. So what she needs to do to repair this picture, this pose, is to literally bring all her, I nearly twisted my ankle. She just needs to bring all her toes evenly on the floor. Sheesh. My foot's crimping in a funny way. Okay, so feet, okay. So she needs to bring, my foot is cramping. Not in a good way. All right, so if she brings her block flat on the floor, all the toes evenly distributed on the floor and the ankle bones touching. The ankle bones mustn't be separated, and then the knees just opened a little bit, and then the arch can come in. And then this is what the pose looks like if the feet and the legs are done correctly. I can't see what it looks like right now, but I'm pretty sure it looks better than the photo. Let's go on to the next pose. To correct this pose over here, now she's kind of like facing straight on with a sickle on the bottom foot and a sickle happening like this, but with the knee in like this. So this is kind of what it looks like, okay? Now what we want to do is just get rid of the sickle on both feet, okay? So this one needs to come more this way. This way is definitely better than this way. I don't care what anyone says, but at the same time, you don't want to like break it so that it's doing that, if that makes sense. So just to bring that toe out a little bit, okay? Now you can see she's flopping her knee in. Personally, I would rather put the knee out, but let's just do it the way her knee is. No, let's correct it. I'm losing steam here, guys. This is a lot. So you can see she's got a sickle in both feet, and her knee is knocking in again. Now the first correction I would do would be to get that knee out, because that would be better than knocking it in. Then we need to get rid of the sickle. So first the one out there, you want to get more the tip of your toe, your baby toe on the floor, as opposed to having the side of the foot on the floor, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to fix that sickle. I'd rather have more of a sickle this way than this way, because this doesn't look nice in any world. You just want to go to the extent of what you can get your point. Okay, so baby toe on the floor. Now this foot down here, Shambly, so you can see she's trying to point her toes. A non-trained person can never really point their feet further than a certain point. So you can see, so kudos to her for trying. She is trying to point, but like I say, an untrained dancer can't point more than their physical capabilities. That's why in ballet training, it's like constantly pushing beyond your capabilities to mold the body into the shape that it needs to be in order to be able to balance, turn, jump, all that good stuff. So we fixed this leg here. This sickle here, you want to point the toe. And now instead of having the ankle lying on the floor, we want to actually lift it up off the floor and have the baby toe touching the floor. So this is what the pose looks like now corrected. Does it look better? What do you think? And let's say for instance, for argument's sake, this photographer really wants it to have the knee in, you could do that. But then now, instead of having the baby toe on the floor, you'd have the big toe on the floor, because then that still gives the illusion of turning out, if that makes sense. See, even me being ballet trained, I look back on that video and I was like, but I didn't get that underneath foot pointed enough. So let's try again like that. Is that better? Alrighty, next move. Oh, and it's the last one, thank goodness, because I am really losing steam here. So this one, she's pretty much facing the camera with her head tilted back, Again, the sickle, I shouldn't have to look at this picture because I should be able to remember what it looks like. Currently, we are here. Remember I said about the knock knees and that? So is she looking towards the camera? Look a bit more there. I don't know if my angle's correct. Like that. Now, the same correction as the second picture. We want to put all the toes on the floor. And then also you want to bring your ankle bones and heels together more. Okay? And then instead of having the knees knocking, we want to open them just a little bit. And then we can do the arch and look back. And then if you really want to go a little bit further, you could lean over on the toes. And that is such a nice stretch as well. It feels so good. Ugh. There we go. What do you think? I actually just looked back on the pose and I'm like, I wasn't doing the arched back enough and bringing my bum down to the ground enough. So we're going to get back into that. Oh, the skirt keeps on slipping out. So we're in this position here. No knees knocking together like this by turning in the feet. Feet are turned out. Heels are touching a bit more. All toes on the floor. And yeah, I think that's more what she's doing. But personally, I would prefer to be leaning over the toes more like that. So guys, those are the poses, okay? Mistakes, corrections, done. Let's look at the before and afters and you guys let me know what you think is better.